Two of us went inside. The canteen looked like a canteen. I had a chance to visit the factory canteen at some point in my life. This one was exactly the same, just maybe a bit cleaner and more modern. Metal chairs and tables, glass tiles on the walls, and on the floor, unsophisticated tableware with the occasional crack. Guess that's what a canteen in a pioneer camp's supposed to look like. Semyon, wait a moment, we'll find you a place to sit. She looked around the place. Dvachevskaya, hold on right there! Olga Dmitrievna shouted at Elisa, who was passing by. What? What's up with your clothes? Anything wrong with it? Indeed, her attire looked somewhat provocative. Get your uniform nice and neat right now. Alright, alright. Elisa got her shirt right and walked past, shooting an unpleasant glare at me. So, where can we find you a place to sit? There weren't a lot of free seats. Go over there, to Uliana. Maybe I... Yeah, it's fine. The food's already on the table too. I had no other choice but to accept. Of course, there was the probability that the cutlets were poisoned with curare, the mashed potatoes generously seasoned with arsenic, and the glass filled with the excellent antifreeze instead of compote. But it all looked so tasty that I had no chance to resist. Hey! What do you want? I replied rather rudely to Uliana, who was sitting next to me. Why didn't you play football with us? Because of my clothes, said I, pointing at the source of the problem. Oh, alright then, eat. However, there wasn't much left to eat. The cutlet was missing from the plate. Only she could do it. No, more precisely, none but Uliana could do it. Give me back my cutlet. In a big family you snooze, you lose. It can cost you a cutlet if you are careless. Give it back, I'm telling you. See, I don't have it. And indeed, Uliana's plate was empty. It seemed that this little girl eats as fast as she steals someone's cutlets. Take it easy, we'll work something out now. She grabbed a plate and ran off. There was no point in following her. If they wanted to poison me here, they could have done it in a much easier way. About a minute later, Uliana returned and handed me the plate with a smoking hot cutlet on it. Here's one for the starving. Thanks. That was all I could say. I was so hungry that my suspicions were gone in a flash. I picked up the cutlet with my fork and... What? Some bug? No, not a bug. An insect. It got legs and it's wiggling. The plate fell onto the floor and broke into pieces. The chair hit me hard on my leg where I'd fallen. I've disliked insects since I was a child, but when these creepy crawlies appear on my plate, that's just way too much. You little! Uliana seemed ready for a twist and was already at the door. Uliana seemed ready for such a twist and was already at the door, laughing as if she had just heard a fresh stand-up comedy joke. I dashed to her. We ran out of the canteen. We were just a few dozen meters apart and I felt I would catch this little girl easily. We ran through the square, past the club's house, and ran onto the forest path. I started to gasp for breath. I should have quit smoking, I guess. Uliana passed out of sight on the next turn. It can't be true that she managed to get away from me. It simply can't. I was stunned and trying to catch my breath again. The evening was falling. Looks like I'm lost. It's a bad idea to stay in the woods at night, but to get back to the camp. However, I had no clue which way to go whatsoever. Well, gotta choose at random. I strayed for quite some time in the forest, and even thought of crying for help, but finally I saw the camp's fence behind the trees. Everything falls back into place. The bus is gone, mumbled I quietly. On the one hand, there was nothing strange about it. The bus couldn't just stay here forever. On the other hand, it meant there was something driving, because buses do not drive themselves. Or do they? This world seemed too normal, but every event here had at least two explanations for it. An ordinary, real, everyday explanation, and a surreal one. Certainly, the driver could have just been off for a snack, and I left too soon, and that's why. In any case, this is not a place for me. Whether that bus drives itself or not was probably an important question, but it was too much more important how I had got here at all. And where this here was. The fields and the woods stretching towards the horizon had no answers. There was nothing familiar about them. A strange, odd, and alien world. However, absolutely not frightening at the same time. Either my self-preservation instinct decided to resign from his job, or all this running around the camp and the local pioneers had lulled me so much with their carefree normality that I was sometimes simply forgetting what had happened to me just a couple of hours ago. Although I probably just had no strength left to worry. All I wanted was some peace, calmness. I wanted to just break free from it all. Not only after that I would continue looking for answers ready and reloaded. However, that would be some time later. What about now? Can I let myself to relax? It got completely dark, and in any case, it was better to spend the night at the camp. I was about to head back when someone came silently from behind. "Hello, what are you doing here so late?" It was Slavio standing before me. I was so surprised that I got a seizure. "So, you haven't caught Uliana, have you?" She smiled. I nodded disappointedly and said, "No wonder. No one ever has." Yeah, she's really a rugged girl. She could have found a better use of energy than looking for adventures. "You must be hungry. You didn't manage to have dinner at all." Indeed, I had completely forgot about hunger, but after these words of hers, my stomach drew my attention to itself by giving a traitorous rumble. Slavia smiled. "Let's go then." "What, is the canteen still open?" "It's alright, I have the keys." "The keys?" "Yes, I have the keys to all the facilities in the camp." "How come?" "Well, I'm something like the camp's leader aide here." "I see. Well, let's go." It was an offer you can't refuse. When we reached the square, Slavia stopped in her tracks. "Excuse me, I should warn my roommate that I'll be late. She's so punctual herself that she'll be worrying otherwise. You go into the canteen and I'll come in a minute, alright?" "Alright." I really did not expect that at such late hour someone would be there beside me, and that somebody was apparently hopelessly trying to open the door. Without any secret thoughts, I walked up onto the porch. The lockpicker turned out to be Elisa. I should have probably kept off and waited. She looked at me intently for a while, then said, "Don't just stand there, give me a hand or something." "Meaning?" "Help me open the door." "Why?" "'Cause I want some buns with kefir, the dinner wasn't enough." Is this really a good idea?" "Aren't you hungry yourself, huh? Uliana didn't let you have a normal dinner, did she?" She smiled sarcastically. "It's true, she didn't. It's fine, Slava will come now and..." "What?" I guess I shouldn't have said that. I'm off then. And you pay for this. You owe me 2 already." Having said that, Elisa disappeared into the night. And what was the first one for? Slavia didn't keep me waiting for too long. Is everything fine? Yeah, why asking? No reason, it's nothing. It was better if I did not tell her about Lisa. Everything's fine. I said that and instantly heard a trace of dishonesty in my voice. Well, shall we go? As for Slavia, she seemed not to have noticed anything. Or at least she was pretending she didn't. We entered the canteen. Wait a bit, I go get something. I sat down on a chair and obediently waited for my saviors. My dinner was simple, a few buns and a glass of kefir. No wonder I bet hungry pioneers finished everything off. However, even that was far better than most of my usual diet. Slavia sat across the table and looked at me while I was eating. Is there something on my face? No, just... She smiled. So, how did you like your first day in the camp? Well, I don't really know. It's silly to ask someone who suddenly found himself in a different reality whether he liked the food in the canteen, the camp leader, or the assigned hut. It's alright, you soon get used. Slavia stared into the window dreamily. Frankly speaking, I have no desire to get used to such things, but as far for her, she doesn't know. Or at least she wants me to think that she doesn't. Well, all in all, it's nice here. I had to somewhat break the awkward silence. Do you think so? She asked without any interest. Yeah, this place is so... I wanted to say retro, but I managed to hold that back. After all, it was retro for me, but what about them? It might be the only kind of life they knew. If the term life was applicable here at all. So, how? She looked at me closely, as if something important depended on my answer. Well, I don't know. Lovely. Yeah, that's it. It's lovely here. I guess you're right. She smiled again. It's very good that you think so. Why? Well, not everybody likes it here. And what about you? Me? Yeah. I love it here, it's great. Then you don't need to worry about what other people think. Well, I don't really worry. Slavia laughed. This conversation seemed to be leading me far astray from where I wanted to get. And you're worried yourself? Really? Why? Well, when someone is chewing so intensely. I'm sorry. It's okay. I couldn't force myself to be more careful with this girl. But why exactly her? With any local inhabitant? Every one of them looked completely normal to me. Precisely normal. So normal it sent chills down my spine and to the marrow. Normal, not like a neighbor human, with a power drill in the one hand and subwoofer in the other. Not like a passenger human you can often meet in the subway or public transport. Not like a co-worker human next to the table in the open plan office. And not even like a friend human who only differs from other humans in his constant insistence. All of them look normal, as I would expect him to be, without their own downsides, but without any superpowers. And Slavia was also cute? I glanced at her stealthily, not knowing what to say. I'm sorry, I wanted to show you the camp, but ran off my feet. I didn't miss anything while being on my own, I guess. Are you sure you haven't missed anything at all? She smiled so hard that I had to cast my eyes down in confusion. Well, how could I know? It's the first day I'm here. Okay, and what you've seen so far? I've seen the square, this canteen, football field. And what about the beach? Just from afar. You should really go there. Or let's do it together. Yeah, okay. We will... Their naturalness started to scare me. But then I thought, what if everything that happens here is how it's supposed to be, and this world looks strange just for me, but for them it is native? Maybe I got thrown into the past? Yes, this would explain a lot. Can I ask a stupid question? No. Slavia smiled and stood up from the table. It's late. Will you find a way out to Orchid Midlevnia by yourself? Of course I will, but why should I go there? Should tell you to someone. What for? Probably this question seemed to be stupid, because Slavia burst into good laughter. You need to sleep somewhere, right? That makes sense. Fine, I'll go then. Good night. Night. It's strange that she left in such a hurry. A key bundle left in the door lock caught my attention. I was going to catch up to Slavia, but where does she live? And knocking on every door during the middle of the night and sound like a bright idea. I'd better take them. We'll give them back tomorrow, because who knows what happens here at night. Such thoughts gave me a chill. It is me who needs to be careful here in the first place. The night, though being dark, wasn't silent at all. One could hear chirping crickets, songs of the night birds, and rustling trees from everywhere. Sudden desire to follow Slavia's advice and go to the company-less cabin has appeared. I don't know why, but the look of the unknown bronze builder of the communism put me into a constructive mood. I sat on the bench and started to recall everything that had happened today. That was all my constructive mood could offer. Here was much brighter than the near canteen. Belated pioneers were running by, so this place did not seem scary at all. Bus, summer camp, girls. I was so tired from everything new and strange that could not come up with a single explanation of what was going on. I heard a barely noticeable rustle nearby. I shivered and looked in that direction. Girl, reading a book. Lena. I decided to come closer and talk. She was the only new person I met here without having even a few words to chat. Hi, what are you reading? Lena was so surprised that she even jumped up. Sorry, didn't mean to scare you. Never mind. She blushed and stared into the book again. What are you reading? On the cover was written, Gone with the Wind. Good book. Thanks. Honestly speaking, I haven't read it, but I think such literature suits her very well. Lena doesn't seem to be interested in continuing the talk. Well, if I'm bothering you... No, she answered while still looking into the book. Can I sit aside for a while? Why? And really, why? Maybe just because I was very tired, and being with company is better than being alone. And maybe I wanted to try to find out something from her. I carefully examined Lena. But no, I doubt that. Well, I don't know, I'm not allowed to? Feel free. But if I'm bothering you... No, you don't. I can leave, just tell. Everything's alright. Okay then. I sat on the end of the bench carefully. After such an intensive talk, staying here was the last thing I wanted. But it won't be nice to just stand up and leave. Didn't really go well, huh? Lena haven't answered anything. It seems I made a fool out of myself. I bet if it was Uljana here, she'd have a good laugh at me. Do you enjoy being here? I recalled Slavia's questions and thought it would be a good start for a conversation. Yes. She slightly smiled. I guess I like it too. Lena definitely isn't very sociable and probably can't support the meaningless conversations as easy as Slavia. But there was something in her that attracted the attention. like a momentary sight or reflection in your glasses at rainy autumn evenings, which makes you turn around and stare into the darkness, searching for something that you saw out the corner of your eye. Of course, you weren't able to distinguish or understand what it was, but it still felt so tempting. Lena was still reading the book without paying any attention to my presence, and I had no intentions at all to ask her anything about this camp or this world in general. Beautiful night. Yeah. How in the world would you start a conversation with her? It's late. I have to go. Yes, it's quite late. Good night. Night. There was something strange in this girl. At first glance, she's a typical shy and modest pioneer girl, but the mystery of Lena took its own place in the massive list of mysteries of this camp, which I started to put together in my head. Lazy evening. There's nothing like a good time with nothing to do. I headed towards Olga Dmitrievna's cabin. The light in the house was on. Hello, Semin. You are quite late. Yeah. I went for a walk to look around the camp. All right. You will be sleeping here. She pointed her finger at one of the beds. Right here? I got a bit surprised. Yeah, something wrong? We are out of free cabins anyway. The camp leader smiled, but I'd rather think it was a smile of politeness. You do want to be a decent pioneer, don't you? There was a clear emphasis on the word decent. Yeah, sure. I got lost in thoughts for a moment. Don't you mind it, mademoiselle? She looked at me oddly, with surprise and some kind of offense in her eyes. Pioneers should respect the others. Olga Dmitrievna said strictly. Of course he should, no one argues that. I've blathered, not realizing what was wrong. Shouldn't you also? She stared at me. Under such a gaze, even mithril forged by best dwarf masters from the deepest dungeons would melt. Should I what? What's up, Ted? Nuisance of lack of understanding made me talk a level louder. You must address adults appropriately. Yes, of course, there are a lot of strange things here, but this girl is just a couple years older than me. Or maybe even younger. But I decided not to argue. Well, just a few minutes ago, I would never call her adult. I have to admit that she was also given a strong character. And in any case, I wasn't in a position to argue. As you say, ma'am, I mumbled. That's way better. This is how a decent pioneer should conduct himself. And now it's time to sleep. Honestly speaking, I wasn't going to become neither a decent nor indecent pioneer. Just yesterday I wasn't going to become a pioneer at all. But do I have a choice now? No desire will put you down with fire. This is a motto Olga Dmitrievna was probably going to use. I went into bed and closed my eyes, only to realize how tired I was after today. Something hammered in my head awfully, as if my brain started the night shift, and they seemed to be aimed more at rolling the steel than working with something more sensitive. The buzz flew through my mind, and the square of the monument. Canteen full of pioneers, the malicious face of Uliana, Slavia, Lena. And even recalling Elisa hasn't given me much of a negative feeling. What if I'm here for good?